under law, no under law, under grace. I know I follow Pablo, solamente Pablo. No Moisés. No Jew synagogue. Jew! Only de Pablo. Los escrituras de Pablo. Only Pablo, really. Oh, so in other words, you don't want to follow Yeshua, you want to follow Pablo. Oh, okay, no problem. Let's see if Rav Shaul, Pablo, kept the Torah or broke the Torah in his own walk with Yeshua. Now here's the apostle to the so-called Gentiles. Of course, he wasn't sent to any Gentiles. He was sent to the nations. Why? What was he looking for in the nations? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because who had filled the nations? The lost sheep of the house of Israel had become the Melo HaGoyim, had become the fullness of the Gentiles, and had filled the nations. So Rav Shaul was not going, well, where can I find some pagans? No, he's looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which is why he shows up at a synagogue every Shabbat. He's not just looking for Jews. He's looking for Jews and the lost sheep of the house of Israel, non-Jewish Israel, Ephraim Israel. And so he's the apostle to the nations. I don't believe that because you're reading the Bible in English. In Greek, it says he is the apostolos ale ethnai, ethnos, to the nations. Once you understand who fills the nations, you'll understand it's Ephraim Israel. I want to be like Rav Shaul. Well, okay, let's see what Rav Shaul did in his life. Maaseh Shlichim 18:18. Shaul, having stayed several days more, having taken a leave of the brethren. Circle that word leave. Who was he hanging out with, Ted? Who did Rav Shaul hang out with like you and I are supposed to hang out with? Brothers and sisters in the Mashiach. Isn't that what we're doing here on Shabbat? Hang out with brothers and sisters in the Mashiach? Why do we get together for Rosh Chodesh? We want to be with our brothers and sisters in the Mashiach. But notice what he did. He took what? Leave. What is another way to say take leave? Abraham. He left, separated himself from his brethren, and he was sailing for Syria, Priscilla and Aquila with him, having shaved his hair at Kenchria, for he had taken a vow. He did not leave, listen, for Syria with Priscilla and Aquila until he shaved his head. This is the apostle to the Gentiles, the one the church says would never be found following any of the Torah, following any part of the Torah, certainly never taking a Nazarite vow. Here, he can't leave for Syria because he's under a vow, and he hasn't separated himself from that vow. Not a very good apostle to the Gentiles, wouldn't you think? Here we got we caught. Turn to your neighbor and say, we caught. That was weak. Let's try that again. We caught. We caught the apostle to the Gentiles doing the Jewish law. We caught him. Marilyn, we caught him. Very good. He may have taken a vow right when Yeshua appeared to him on the road to Damascus in Maaseh Shlichim chapter 9. Right, on the Damascus road. Because you didn't see him, he went into the wilderness of Arabia and didn't go to Jerusalem for Kepha's approval or Yaakov's approval. That's a very good point. All those years in the desert, he may have been under a vow. That's a very good point. The scripture doesn't say that specifically, but we could ascertain that in the remez, in the hint. That's very good. That's very, very good. Amen. Good point. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Okay, so he didn't leave for Syria yet because he was separated from Priscilla and Aquila, for he was under a vow. What kind of a vow? How do we know there's a Nazarite vow? How did he end his vow? Look at the end of verse 18. How did he end his vow? He shaved his head. This is the apostle to the nations. So in other words, no matter who he preached to, listen, he himself followed the Torah. So even if you want to be like Pablo, you're going to have to follow the Torah because Rav Shaul did. Even if you want to be like Pablo. Maaseh Shlichim 21. Wasn't that what I said last week? Every religion shaves their head to take a vow of celibacy or some kind of vow. In the Bible, in Torah, you shave your head to separate a vow. So do you see Satan? Every religion thinks to become closer to. You have to shave. You have to shave your head. He always says no. Opposite. When you let everything grow, you're not allowed to touch or make yourself up or find yourself or get yourself all primed and pumped up, whatever. When you can't mush with yourself, then that's a real vow. And when comes time to end your vow, then you shave. In religion, you shave to get closer to Yahweh. In the true faith of Nazarene Israel, what do? You shave when you're getting further away from Yahweh, when you need to take care of worldly business, like burying your mom or burying your dad or burying a relative. Unfortunately, that's one of the cycles of life, and that's worldly business. So you got to break your vow, and you can't just break your vow. You've got to shave your head first, and then bury your loved one. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Okay, go to Maaseh Shlichim, please, 21. Is anyone enjoying? I'll try that again. Is anyone enjoying? Maaseh Shlichim 21:23. I could say something, but I won't. Okay, he comes to Yerushalayim, and here's the rumor. Now, tell me if you ever heard this in any Sunday place that you've been in. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It sure does, because I know I went to places. I heard this all the time. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Acts 21, 21. Maaseh Shlichim 21:21. Rav Shaul returns to Yerushalayim after preaching among the nations, not the Gentiles, the nations where Ephraim is, the lost sheep of the house of Yisrael. And they say, Paul, bad news. What's the bad news? We've been informed about you. We've heard things about you, that you teach all the Jews among the Gentiles to forsake Torah, Moshe, saying not to circumcise the children or walk according to the practices. Is that what you hear in most churches? Paul forbids circumcision. Wherever Paul went, he forbids circumcision to Jews and non-Jews. Isn't that what you've been told? And Rav Shaul said, the elders of Yerushalayim said, we've heard these things about you. We know they're not true, but there are rumors out there. There are rumors about Rav Shaul. What are the rumors? That he teaches his disciples, even the Jews, they're not under the Torah, they don't have to keep the Torah, and have Brit Milah with their baby boys. Rav Shaul, is this true? Tell us. Tell us. Come clean. Come clean right now and tell us. Did the Lord show you that the Torah was nailed to the cross? This is your opportunity to come clean. This is your opportunity to tell the truth. What are you doing out there in the nations? What are you doing out there in the Gentiles? What are you doing out there? Come clean. This is your opportunity to tell the truth. Look at verse 22. What then is this? They will certainly hear that you have come. Who's they? The Jews. Why? He's in Yerushalayim. The Jews have heard that he came. He says, now, there's only one way to stop these rumors. Hello? There's only one way to stop these rumors. Here it is. Do this. Now, who's talking to Rav Shaul? Go back to verse 18. Yaakov and all the elders. Look at me. Who's talking to Rav Shaul? Yaakov, the first rabbi of the congregation in Yerushalayim, and all the elders, all the what? Zechenim. So this is not just Joe, Mo, and Harry saying, Rav Shaul, you may want to pray about what I'm about to tell you. No, they're saying, hey, look, the message is being damaged. The message is being criticized because we've heard instead of preaching the truth, you're out there telling all the Jews among the Gentiles they don't have to circumcise their babies and they don't have to keep the law of Moshe to Torah. So these are some serious things that we need to take care of and that we need to address. So what did Rav Shaul say? He goes, it's true. We're not under the law, James. Grow up. Grow in the faith. Follow me. Follow me. Is that what Rav Shaul said? Or did Rav Shaul say, look, have you been trained in the assemblies of God? James, you're falling back under the law, James. Don't try to put me under the law. Couldn't Rav Shaul have said that right here? Isn't this his chance to put the legalistic Judaizers in Jerusalem back in their proper place? If ever he had an opportunity to rebuke them, didn't he rebuke Peter when he thought Peter was wrong? Didn't he rebuke Peter, Kepha, to his face? Well, here's his opportunity. Now watch what he does. The Jews will hear that you've come. Now do this. We've taken 4 men, look, verse 23, who have taken a vow. We have 4 men. Look at me. What does it mean we have? They were born again believers. They say we, meaning we have Nazarene, Messianic Nazarene believers who have taken a Nazarite vow. Hello? How many Messianic believers were there that had taken a Nazarite vow? 4 believers. Amen. Verse 24, he says, now to stop these rumors, to quench these rumors, to arrest these rumors, here's what we recommend that you do. Take these 4 who have taken a Nazarite vow, be cleansed with them. Now you're missing this. Be cleansed with them. In other words, Rav Shaul came to Jerusalem under a Nazarite vow, because there's no way he could be cleansed with them if he had shaven his head and cleaned his head, shaved, prior to coming to Jerusalem. He came to Jerusalem already under a vow. And this is not the first time we caught him. We caught him back in Acts 18:18. We caught him under another Nazarite vow. Not very nice behavior for the apostle of the Gentiles. Not very nice. Too much Judaismo, legalismo. Not very nice. Bad Paul. We catch him again. So, in other words, he said to show everybody, the Jews in Jerusalem, that these are false accusations, false rumors. He's saying, take these 4 who are Messianic Nazarenes, they're believers in Yeshua, go to the temple, be cleansed with them. What does it mean, be cleansed? Clean your head, shave, clean your face. Pay their expenses, meaning the burnt offerings, the peace offerings, so that they can shave their heads. Now, what you know what most Christians say? Paul should have said, I'm not doing that Jewish stuff, and you're not putting me under the law. Come on now, talk to me. It's getting quiet now. It's been quiet. I'm worried. But he didn't say that. What did he do? Watch what he did. And so, what is the reasoning here from the elders in Jerusalem? And your Nazarite vow and theirs, pay for your expenses and theirs, get cleansed along with them. Verse 24, and all will know, now listen carefully, those of you who are sleeping, especially, I want you to listen. All shall know that what you have been informed about you, Rav Shaul, is not true. Well, Rabbi, I went to a place where they told us that we weren't supposed to get circumcised, that we weren't supposed to keep the feasts, that we weren't supposed to do Nazarite vows when Yahweh led us to do them, and that we're not supposed to do that. And Yahweh sent Paul to straighten out the Judaizers who kept falling back under the law. Well, excuse me. Here it says, Rav Shaul, we recommend very strongly that you do this so that you can defend yourself and show everybody that these lies are not true. Not only do you keep all the feasts, you go in and out of Nazarite vows. Now, that's my kind of rabbi. Now, I'm willing to follow a dude like that as he follows Yeshua. And the Paul of Christianity is not the Rav Shaul who lived. And that's another teaching for another time. Do this, defend yourself, not by standing up for yourself in court. How did the elders in Jerusalem tell them to defend themselves? By doing Torah. How are you going to defend yourself? Do Torah. How are you going to protect yourself? Do Torah. How are you going to guard yourself? Do Torah. How are you going to stop everybody in your family from making fun of you now that you're wearing tzitzit all the time? You go to their home for Christmas. You're too much of a yellow belly to tell them you're not coming to their home, but you walk into their home right under their Christmas tree, and you got your tzitzit on. And now you're partying their poop and pooping their party. Could you imagine that? Walking into a Christmas celebration with your tzitzit? And they'll say, what are you doing? This is the birthday of the Lord. What are you doing? And then you respond and say, I'm just following Pablo. Paul took Nazarite vows. Paul wear tzitzit. Oh. Now look at verse 24. Rav Shaul, do separate yourself from the Nazarite vow, so that those who have been informed about you will know these things are not so, not true. Turn to your neighbor and say, not true. But you yourself walk, listen carefully, what's another way to say walk in Hebrew? Halach. What is the Hebrew word for walk? To walk with Yahweh. Halacha, the way to walk, the way to conduct yourself. Halacha. That your halacha is found in keeping Torah. There it is. Circle it, enlarge it, post it, and paste it. How did the elders tell him to defend himself? Get up and say, and defend himself as if he was in a court of law? To the Torah. Now, if Rav Shaul was really the Paul that Christians paint him to be, wouldn't he have refused? If he really had conviction that doing this was putting himself in bondage back under the law, wouldn't he have done this here? Or else he had no conviction. What kind of respect should we have for a man that has no conviction? John Wesley said, it doesn't matter what a pastor or a preacher says, but if he's on fire for Yahweh, people will come, even though they may dislike him or hate him, they'll come just to watch him burn. Remember that. People may not agree with you all the time, may not like you all the time, but if you're on fire for Yahweh, they'll get around you just to watch the fire and watch you burn for Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Rav Shaul, do the Nazarite, separate yourself, shave your head, to show the whole world that you halacha, not according to the theology they're accusing you of, but that you keep Torah. Hello? What's the accusation against Rav Shaul today? That he was teaching folks that were not under the law, right? But this is nothing new, brothers and sisters. They were whispering and gossiping and slandering him back then when he was alive with the same accusations. This didn't start last Monday or last week or last year. They were accusing him of the same thing 2,000 years ago. Go with me to Revelation 19. Is anyone enjoying? Let's try this side of the room. Am I getting anybody enjoying this side? Sister Barbara. Revelation 19. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Revelation 19. Hallelujah. My. Revelation 19. Here's where it gets interesting. You can give me another, let's see, what are we, 6:05? I'll take another 2 hours, we'll be done. Revelation 19. Someone's flesh is going, I'm hungry. Revelation 19:7. Speaking of the marriage supper of the Lamb, let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come. His wife has prepared herself. It was given to her to be dressed in fine linen, clean, bright. The fine linen is the righteousness of the set apart ones. He said to me, right, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. He said to me, these are the true words of Elohim. If you're born again, you've been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. These are the true words. You've got a true living and standing invitation to be called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. How many believe that we're going to see each other seated at the marriage supper of the Lamb? We've got an invitation. We've got an appointment. We've got a time and an appointment with destiny. How many believe we're the bride of Yeshua? And we're going to be at that marriage supper of the Lamb. But wait a second. Slow down. Can't be. Didn't we teach in part 1 of Nazarite Nuggets last week that Yeshua died as a Nazarite? Didn't we teach that? He refused the wine on the tree when they offered him the wine. At the Last Supper, he said, I will not drink of this cup till I drink it afresh with you in my Father's kingdom. Didn't we teach he died as a Nazarite? Well, how can that be? That means, listen, from the time he died and rose, he rose as a Nazarite because he even now is the Sapphire. He sits on the what? Throne of Sapphire on top of the pavement of Sapphire. Here's a mind blower. For 2,000 years, he has been under a Nazarite vow. Go back and review last week's tape and stop looking at me so holy. We taught clearly from Scripture last week. Clearly. Turn to your neighbor and say, claro. That he died as under a Nazarite vow. And wait a second. He hasn't come back yet, has he? And he's still sitting on the throne of Sapphire, and under his feet is a pavement of Sephirah. So apparently he has not shaved. He is still under a Nazarite vow. But whoa, he's got a marriage supper to come to, and we know there's no such thing as a marriage supper without vin. Bueno vin. Vino. No such thing. You could have a church meeting, or you could have a hoedown with the Beverly Hillbillies. But you can't have a Hebraic wedding or feast without wine. Forget about it. Not in this culture. In Israel, we're going to feed wine. We're going to feed you wine. We're going to turn you from a religious fanatic into a happy Hebrew. How many know where I come from, having used to be a religious fanatic? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. But wait a second. So if we know the wedding, the marriage of the Lamb is going to have, what's the main course? Let's think about this real hard. Lamb is the main course, a man modeled after the Seder, the Passover Seder. If the lamb is the main course, how many cups of wine at least are we going to have? At least. It might even be more if it's up to 10. But we're going to have at least we're gonna have at least 4 cups of wine. Ted's coming up. When Ted shows up at the marriage supper of the Lamb, he's going to have a case. He's going to be the guy with the 36-gallon garbage thing full of it. He's going to bring a whole 36-gallon barrel. Anyway, you should have seen these guys cooking the lamb. They're like sitting by the fire. Remember the Pesach this year? They're like, and I'm like, what happened? Oh, don't worry, Rabbi. It's just a smoke. Yeah, right. And they're like, I don't know if it's the wine, it's the smoke, it's the combination of the wine and the smoke. Smoke on the water, water on the smoke. Doon, 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 doon. Don't shut up, be quiet, don't be religious. Oy. So now if all this mishugas goes on at the marriage supper of the Lamb, now Yeshua can't get involved with the drinking if he's under a Nazarite vow. So the thing is, when will Yeshua separate himself from his vow? At the marriage supper of the Lamb. You think about what I'm telling you. For 2,000 years, he is set apart to the Father as our Kohen Hagadol, as our high priest. But in order to have that spiritual intercourse with us, spiritually be echad with us, he has to separate his vow so he can drink and be merry and rejoice, for the marriage supper of the Lamb has come. You think about what I'm telling you. Now you tell me, what church is going to teach this stuff? How can you teach it if you believe this entire part of Scripture has been done away with? They cheat themselves. They cheat themselves. And we close with this, Matityahu 17. I'm enjoying this. I didn't think I would enjoy it this much. Matityahu 17. Matityahu 17. Matthew 17. After 6 days, Yahshua took Kepha, Yaakov, and Yochanan, his brother, and brought them to a high mountain by themselves. Circle those words, by themselves. Now, is it possible, before we go further, that Kepha, Yaakov, and Yochanan were the 3 of the 12 who were under a Nazarite vow? Because Yahshua is what? They're already separated, so Yahshua is separating them from the rest of Israel. Isn't that what I told you the Nazarites were? Separate and brighter and wider and more